Welcome to episode number 262 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We are recording February 23rd, 2025. My name is Eric, host of the show based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, and computer geek. As a first responder, witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events and started a small preparedness company to help people get better prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
It's Pierre. I'm a tactical beard owner, base t-shirt merchant, and laser engraver here and there. Government critique, and the reason we hit the explicit button.
Yes, you are. I'm Pat in the Bunker, farmer, rancher, shooting enthusiast, ATC collector, shorthand, three-wheeler collector, all-around outdoorsman, and the official Canadian Prepper Podcast Token American.
Oh, we're going to have Greg come back and fight you on that one.
We will do that live on Patreon.
Yeah, yes, we will.
that would probably get some views. That would probably
would. Yeah, we've got a couple of guests with us this evening as well. If Brent and Sean, you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Brent Lucas, Chief Technology Officer for Aratech Research. We're a body armor company based out of Trenton, Ontario, Canada. I've been shooting, I'm 53, I've been shooting for 40 of those years. Prepper, live rural, and know that I have to take care of myself and nobody's coming to save me. And I like camping too, when I can do it. Has been a while.
Awesome.
Sean Steep. I am Aratech's law enforcement military sales. Well, I'll sell to anybody if they really want it, but we'll get to that. Been hunting, been shooting for years, IPSC, IDPA. Spent a lifetime in the armored car industry. So yeah, I got to spend a lifetime with a wheel gun at my side. I would much prefer one, believe it or not, to a semi.
Nice. Well, welcome, gentlemen. Interested to hear what you have to say for this episode. It's going to be a good one, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. I want to help support the show. Buy some swag. We got the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt and tactical Velcro patch at www.prepperpodcast.ca. All the proceeds help cover the cost of the podcast.
And if you're enjoying the show, please take a few minutes and submit a review, wherever you found us. We want your feedback, even if it's bad. We also invite you to reach out and tell us about something you learned this week. You can email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
All right, so we've got some protective content for you in this episode. Yes, the terrible dad jokes continue into episode 262, and I have no plan on stopping them. We're going to start out with some recent news articles. We'll let you know what we've done for our personal prep since the last episode. We're going to get into the main topic. We're talking about body armor this evening, so it should be a good one. So as far as news goes, got a quick article here from CBC. And it's just in regards to Edmonton creating a wildfire strategy as part of their emergency management plan. One thing that kind of jumped out at me, I thought was a little bit interesting, is they talk about having artificial intelligence tool used to help predict fire risk and combining a bunch of data and weather forecasts and flammable material information and public safety all together, and then helping do some of that prediction. So kind of curious if it's going to be better at the weather prediction thing than Jeff. Since he's not here this evening, we can beat up on him a little bit. So,
I mean, the info will be more relevant than if he was here to say it. Just saying.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting that they were jumping into the AI world with the whole preparedness thing as well. So.
Yeah, makes sense.
So you got something here, Pat?
Yeah, actually, it did not print out right, so I can't even remember what I will get it in the shout out.
Fine. Perfect. All right. With that, let's move into what we've done lately for preps, and we'll kick off with me. Snow, a little bit more snow. Shoveled some more snow. Snowblower still works. And then there was more snow, so it's been fun. The last little while here. That's been about it. Just moving snow and then thinking I was done and then move some more snow.
For myself, about the same. a bunch of snow. I was sort of smart, and I stayed at my house and then waited for a tractor to drive by, and then flagged them down and said how much, because there was 3.5 feet of snow in my driveway, and I was just like, I got a snowblower, but it I pay. He ended up being $40 to my driveway, moved the 2 trucks out of the way, everything was good. It's like, or do I spend 9 hours outside? It seemed the $40 was way worth my, time per hour wage. That it was just like, yeah, do the end of the driveway. I'll move my work truck and our personal truck out of the way. So we were lucky for that. And then just a little bit of food rotation. Trying to get some whatever we can find on sale here and there. Get it chopped up, into vacuum seal packs back in the freezer. Coming up to that tax season, so it's that time where if you're lucky, you get money back from government that they automatically stole from you. So just trying to get through that rotation of, we tend to do that every year around tax season, get a little bit of extra stock in, and then the following year, take those packages and put them at the front of the freezer and rotate through. So just looking through what we got and what we need to use up, and plan for when the stolen money gets returned to us.
Nice.
As far as me, cutting wood, doing some pistol training today, since it finally warmed up, and you guys came and got your drunk weather off my front porch and drug it back up north with you. And practicing with a new green dot. Never had a dot on a pistol before, so do training and prepping with that. And taking a harder look at some of my cold weather gear. I do have pretty good cold weather gear, but I could do a little bit better in a couple of areas. And snow, and a little bit of more snow, and it's finally moved enough of it that I feel like I'm not boxed in.
So my
Don't
cold
you
weather
just shoot
gear.
the snow away?
That's
Just
funny.
shoot the snow away in America? Is that how that works?
Yeah, just
We blow it up.
Yeah.
Let's get a bigger gun. It's funny
Yeah.
because that's what we were. I did some of that this week too. I was out testing winter kit, making sure my show shoes were right in terms of prepping. And
I was all excited for shooting snow and blowing it up. Like, the situation. I was like, fuck yeah, let's say it.
well, I immediately came to mind was the flamethrower craze
And
4
750.
years ago, right? It was like,
7 minutes in, and I'm hitting the explicit button. Yep.
Bro, you're lucky, buddy. You're lucky.
And it's funny because Eric, I did the same thing. We buy everything in primals from local farms, and I'm looking at that stuff now and getting it. I do a lot of dry curing in my meat, so I got a fridge downstairs. I turned into a curing station, and today was the first batch of stuff being done as lap yuck and stuff like that. So yeah,
Nice.
say if you're snowed in, cure meat.
Yeah. Nice. Awesome. Well, with that, let's move into the main topic for this evening, and we're talking body armor tonight. I've been looking forward to this episode for quite a while, and we ran into some technical issues the last time we were going to have you guys out, but thankfully we've been able to make it happen this evening, and really curious on going through just covering off some not so I guess some myths about body armor, some truths about body armor, rules and regulations, because I know they're different across Canada depending on where you are, and what you guys can kind of offer to the preparedness community, and just any kind of information that you can share with us about body armor. And we'll kind of free flow it as usual. We'll throw some questions at you. The live chat can throw some questions in as well. Then
Sure.
We'll just see where we go and how far down the rabbit hole we end up.
Yeah, it's a big rabbit hole. It really is.
Awesome. We like rabbit holes.
There's a lot of misinformation out there. There really is. So even though we're a body armor company, we're definitely very aware of that misinformation. And while the website isn't completely developed out yet, there are regular blog posts. We have a series of blog posts that try to educate as well, so you can make a more informed decision when you're spending your hard-earned money, as we just discussed in the pre-show. There's a lot of things you can buy to prepare, and body armor is arguably at the top or the bottom of the list, depending on who you talk to. So Part of what we want to do is try and clarify stuff too. So not only are we enabling you to understand if you can buy it, but if you're going to buy it, what you should buy so you're not wasting your money, right? Everybody goes highest level of protection. Well, guess what? Our level 4 plates are 7 pounds a piece. If you're bugging in, maybe, but if you're bugging out, nope. No, you don't want 14 pounds extra crap on your back. I'm sorry. It doesn't work that way. No, so we're trying to be as transparent as we can right across the board.
Awesome. But if I buy the level 4 and I cut them in half and shave the weight in half, I still get the same protection, right?
Which way are you going to cut them?
That's what we're going to talk about. Like we're talking about, right? Yeah. Down the middle, so it only covers the nipples, obviously.
I can move them around. Yeah. I might work with soft. I won't work with the ceramic core stuff, unfortunately.
Right.
Unless you have the Dr. No laser. That might work on the ceramic, but yeah. So, we're Canadian based and we manufacture in Ontario in a little town called Trenton. We are, some people would wonder like, oh, how can I trust a company that's only like 2 years old? We purchased an existing company. And as a result of that purchase, we had to recertify all the product lines there. And when I say purchase, we purchased everything. We purchased the ovens, the press that presses that we used to cut the aramid, all the connections, all the contacts with where we get our ceramics. They're made in Italy. So everything's sourced from NATO countries, and we went through the entire process of getting that done, which hurt. The typical plate submission is 30 plates, and at this point, we're at 98 plates that we've just sent in. And it can be hair raising at times when you look at the investment you make to get the certification. But once the certification is done, it's until the next version comes out and you're forced to recertify. It's a milestone. It's really a milestone. And we're the only company in Canada that is privately owned that makes any kind of certified body armor.
That's impressive. So you sent in 90 different plates for like certification testing, and
so we had part of what we did was learn how to make plates, right? And I've joked before, hey, we're making sandwiches, because it is very similar to making sandwiches. You're taking a bunch of things and layering them, right? And then you're putting them in a heated place like a press. We're making paninis. But the ramp up to that was us learning how to physically do it. And all the owners in the company have glue on their hands to this day. We all have actually made plates. So we took to account that we wanted to have full knowledge of the product and not have it outsourced at all. So all of us are capable of making plates. But that's a learning curve. So the first 30 we sent in did not pass. And the next 30 we sent in, there was some weirdness with the testing. And I won't go further into that, but at the end of the day, you take the high road and go, it didn't pass, fine. The third set we sent in passed. And that's 3 sets of 30 plus you have to send a few extra because they do other tests in case something gets busted. And one of the things that terrified us is we sent the original shipment was in a truck going to Oregon during the last big snowstorm that they had out there. And the truck it was in went off the highway and rolled 3 times.
Of course it did. So, of course it did.
So, we surpassed the NIJ certification by surviving a crash.
A rollover, nonetheless.
And a rollover. 3 times.
It was terrifying. It was really terrifying.
Those hurt.
Well, and we had shipped them, and we had expected the tracking number to say they'd been delivered, and they hadn't. And then they still hadn't, and they still hadn't. And we tracked them down, and the delay was actually because the delivery vehicle was in an accident, a major one. It was totaled. So
wild.
But we managed to do it, and it's a testament to the design of the plates, which we did not design. The designer was a guy who owned the previous company, and they're fantastic. They're really tough, and you guys may have seen it. We'll dispel one myth right now, which is you can't drop ceramic plates. Originally, they used to be very delicate, but if you've seen any of our media, we're at trade shows dropping them on concrete hundreds of times, and they're fine, right? So the level of technology and design has gotten much better. And I think Simon always says, these are not your grandfather's ceramic plates. So,
So can we break down that myth a little bit more? So what's the difference between the old technology to the new technology of ceramic, right? Everybody knows that. And you've got the guy that says, if there's no wood on a gun, it's not a real gun, right? Let's get the fun stuff out of the way. What's the difference in technology? Is it just like it's gotten better? Better covering, compression is better.
Yeah. It's a combination of things. So it's better materials surrounding the ceramic core. The ceramic core itself has actually changed in component too. So they've over time been able to engineer harder ceramics that are more durable in terms of being edge struck and behaving less like glass and behaving more like steel. So we can actually take our ceramic cores and drop them on concrete and they don't break. So when you're starting with that level of material, and then we wrap it in aramid, and there's a whole bunch of somewhat proprietary stuff we do to it. Our plates also have foam edging all the way around the edge. And another differentiator is our ceramic goes almost within about 2 millimeters right to the edge of the plate. So when you're looking at coverage, you have full coverage of that ceramic and aramid sandwich that we make that goes right out to the edge. So it's a combination of design and material changes over the last 20 years that have made that. And I mean, we designed the level 4 plate. Our target market is law enforcement in a carrier rattling around in a trunk until he shows up at a farm and some guy with a 30-06 is, murdering his wife or something, and he's got to hide behind a car until SWAT shows up. You throw this on, you get behind the engine block, and you wait it out, right? So it's that level of protection. This is not, oh, let's go get in a gunfight and walk around with this armor on for fucking 5 hours, right? It doesn't work that way. So that's really the main difference, was the design and accepting what the design parameters were.
Okay. Before we get too far, there's 2 questions in at least the YouTube's chat. Do we have to register body armor? So that, I don't know, where do you come from? We'll speak mostly Canadian laws on this.
Yeah.
There's no real registry on it. There's a province or two where you kind of need some kind of paperwork, which most of them qualify as PALs. So possession and acquisition license, firearms license. If you can buy a gun, most of those provinces you can get that. If you don't, you security, if you need it for job, for work, or whatever. I think those are the only parameters in Canada.
Yeah.
Before we get any more into the legal stuff, I'll just mention that not legal
Allegedly.
advice here. Always research yourself. We're going to tell you what we think we understand is the law, and I'm sure you gentlemen will know a lot more than we do about the rules and regulations. But always double check just to make sure, because it's Canada and the laws change.
Yeah. And that's true. There is no registration. It's literally they want to identify you in certain provinces to make sure that you have some semblance of a reason for it. I mean, I have a gun license. What the hell does that have to do with getting shot at? But yeah. And then in the rest of the provinces, I believe it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, it's BC and Nova Scotia where they get
Alberta, I think, has something.
Yes.
As
Alberta,
well as
Alberta
BC.
is one.
Boo.
Which is surprising. Out of all the provinces, Alberta is one of them. If you have a firearms license,
going on?
Yeah, if you have a firearms license, last I understood was yes, Alberta was one of those. But if not, you did need to be in security or something that would require you for a job, or you needed some sort of paperwork. Within quotations, as Eric said, do your research. But yeah, like out of all the provinces, Alberta's one of the ones that has something. Figure that one out.
That's surprising. I would never have thought.
That is surprising.
It is.
Then here we are in Ontario with no rules on the books for it.
Nope.
Weird.
None at all for that.
I would have thought it'd be the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I am going to get into that. I'm going to do some historical research on that and find out where those laws came from, because I'd be curious what the instigating issue was. Mm-hmm. Right? Was it a shooting? Was it a police? Typically, like normally it would be police get shot, and then they try to shoot somebody and they can't. I think I'm going to do some research on that and find out. I'd historically like to find out what the root cause of those 3 provinces having that law in place would be.
Interesting.
I'm curious.
Another
I just
question.
Want to Google it? Let me know though.
Remember, you guys at home have to Google it too.
Yep.
There
is another question in the live chat, just in regards to the general body armor laws in Canada. I think we kind of covered that off, but anything else that we should toss in, or anything that we haven't touched on, gentlemen?
I don't think so. I mean, our motto is, if you can't be armed, be armored, right? So if you're in a situation where you can't have a gun, or you can't have something in terms of, protecting yourself with a tool, then the last tool of last resort is something that won't let those bad things penetrate you, right? So yeah, it really comes down to making sure you're prepared for life, right?
Fair enough. We got a comment in the live chat from our IP just saying PEI is prohibited. Nova Scotia is believes as well, but not 100% sure about Nova Scotia. So yeah.
I'll
we
look
said,
into
make
that.
sure to check your laws.
I'm going to that province in about a month or so there for work.
There you go.
I know a few people. I'm gonna ask some questions about Nova Scotia, but yeah.
Well, I mean, and for our point of view, obviously, I want to get this on the website because, again, I have to put the caveat because law is organic. It changes every 10 minutes. But I would like to have at least a baseline for everybody to understand whether or not they can buy it in their own province.
Yeah. Which is actually a good question there as well. What provinces do you sell to all of Canada? Or are you restricted to certain provinces right now? Or
so we have distributors across Canada that sell where they're legal to. We sell online, and if you're required to have ID, we'll ask you for the ID. The irony of that is we don't send it to anybody. There's no requirement for us to report it, right? We're just doing you a favor and saying, oh, if you're from there and you don't have this, you probably shouldn't buy this because it's illegal. But yeah, no, we sell across Canada directly from the website and through a whole distributor list that's listed on the website.
Awesome. Will you sell outside of Canada at all?
We will. We have sent plates to the Ukraine. We just last week equipped a camera crew to go to the Ukraine. We set them up with body armor because they were going into harm's way to do news reporting. So some stuff goes over. We have sent stuff over. Right now, the NIJ certification is pretty much on the level 4 plates are pretty much only law enforcement and military oriented. So, and selling into the U.S., there's no real market for it because there's hundreds of body armor companies in the United States, right? Even with we definitely have better pricing because I think it was $1.42 today, right?
Something crazy,
yeah. We're getting to the $1.50, right? Point where so
crazy.
But yeah, the tariff on top of that is still doesn't negate 42 cents on the dollar. So, but right now we're focusing on Canada, the civilian market in Canada, where the soft armor will probably come in more importantly, and then we need to get a couple of trade shows under our belt, probably EWA and CanSec to get in front of the military.
Yeah, I just found out I'll be up at OTAB as well.
Oh, sweet.
Yep. And then, of course, OPEX is coming up as well.
Yeah, I love OPEX. It's a great little show. It's really, really good.
We'll also have everything down. If you're at the Sportsman Show, we'll be down there as well. So
Sportsman Show. We might do CanSec this year. I'm not sure yet. Depends on how ramped up we get.
Oh, cool.
So
you mentioned soft armor, so maybe we'll touch on that a little bit because we've talked about ceramics already. But what are kind of the ins and outs of soft armor that we should know about?
Sean, you want to take it? I'm talking my head off.
Absolutely. So soft armor, I mean, there's traditional soft armor, very pliable, works just like clothing, right? Although stiffer and thicker. Then you've got what we're selling right now, pardon me, is semi-rigid, right? Even though it's still soft armor, it's semi-rigid. So it's still got some flex to it, but it's more like thicker cardboard, if you will, in the way it flexes, right? That ends up giving you an added bonus. There we go here. That gives you an added bonus of stab and slash resistance as well, right? Whereas typical soft armor that an officer would carry or wear won't provide a stab or slash resistance built into it. So our soft armor, super easy to wear. It wears just the same as the level 4 plate does, right? And it's cut the same with the same contour. Or you can go traditional if you really want that old 10 by 12 that everybody carried in the military. You can do that. We've got armor inserts as well, and we have a whole whack of things coming out, including backpack armor, right? Which, if I could send my kids to school with, something that doesn't weigh much, it's just going to sit in their backpack like a rigid piece, then why not, right?
Yep.
So,
So slightly different sizes, but like a little bit for everybody. Finally holding up the branded stuff.
Look at that.
But nice. these can hold a shape. We're looking at after we get our level 3 stuff certified, we're looking at a soft armor for women. So this would look more like a how can I put this? A Wonder Woman gauntlet that she would wear that would actually have room. right?
It would have more bosom room.
It would have more bosom room, literally, because if you just riding around with body armor, pressing your breast flat all day, I'm sure for female officers, it's probably pretty horrible, right? So
Yeah.
we're working with a few female officers to try and solve that problem and give them some room, right? But still be ballistically safe.
Under Ontario, sorry, just to quickly interject, under Ontario's new Police Services Act, there is now a call for specific female requirements.
Yeah.
Right, which is going to start happening across Canada. So we might as well be on the cutting edge of that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
We had a question in the live chat just in regards to the backpack armor. What caliber will that withstand? I'm sure that's a rabbit hole.
Old rating, you're looking at like a level 3 armor.
Yeah.
The new stuff in the 07, NIJ 07 stuff and new names, you're looking at pistol 2. So you're looking at 44 Magnum, technically double-aught buck, but you're not going to really want to live after you get hit by double-aught buck.
Yeah, it's going to suck.
But 44 mag's bad enough, but nonetheless, 44 mag is what the level 3 is rated for, 3A, sorry.
Good to know. That's kind of a good segue too into, I guess, a myth or just a clarification of how the body armor actually works. I know we were talking about it before we went live on the show, just about physics and how, yeah, sure, it might stop a projectile, but you may not still survive through that strike. Can maybe talk about that for a second and how the armor actually works?
Part of it is, it's the old adage, like you can go get a plate of AR 500 and shoot it with 50 cal. We've done it on video, and it'll stop the 50 cal round, right? But and again, what we were talking about in pre-show, there's physics involved. The energy still has to go somewhere, and 90% of the time that's going to be into your body as the person who's wearing the body armor. So yes, this will survive X, but your human body won't survive X, right? Getting hit with 50 caliber, the amount of joules of energy that you get hit with that, there is no plate big enough that would be functional for you to wear that would make it survivable. All the plate would do, all the AR-15 plate or the AR-500 plate does is it sinks 4.5 inches into your chest and stops the round, but all the energy is imparted into your body. So yeah, and body armor works by taking energy and turning it into heat. Right? That's literally where the energy goes. The round strikes the armor, and because of the percussive nature of it. And if anybody's ever worked at a forge, you've seen this. Have you ever seen a guy, particularly an old-fashioned blacksmith, light his forge? They have what's called reverse forging. So he'll take an iron rod and he'll put it on his anvil and he'll hit it. And you just keep hitting it, and that thing will glow red. And then he uses it to light the forge. That's exactly what's happening with plate armor. It's taking that massive energy and turning it into heat. And taking the energy to break the plates. So yeah, you can have a plate that can stop anything, but the body is where the line gets drawn, right? How much can the human body take? And that's where the NIJ ratings handle that up to, like, again, the double-aught buck is about as high as you'd want to go and have it survivable. And again, the other thing that you have to keep in mind when you're looking at body armor too is there's two different things. It's ability for you to survive, and it's your ability for you to stay in a fight, right? There's a protective aspect to stop you from dying, but in most applications, body armor is being worn so that you can still do your job after you get shot. And you have to take that into account when you're thinking about what you're going to buy, right? For most preppers, it's that round that's coming in when you don't know what's going on, and it's for survival. I need to stop the bullet, and I need to be able to get to a place where I can do self-care. If you're in the military and law enforcement, you need to be able to keep doing your job. And there's a subtle distinction there, but it's something most people don't really think about.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
I kind of like looking at it from the reverse side, right? So you start at the max side and you start working backwards. As that round hits dead center, say, right? If I get hit by a 30-06 armor piercing, this is designed to stop that. This is what this was tested to as a level 4. When you get hit by a lesser round, the impact energy is spread across the whole plate, right? And you absorb across a wider point. The more pointed that impact is, the harder your body takes that impact, right? So I like kind of looking at it that way. That way, if you get hit by 5.56, are you going to even register that you got hit by something, or even a 9mm round? Would you even register getting hit here? Right? Probably, but it would be inconsequential, and staying in the fight is a big deal.
Yeah. And that's where those certifications come in, right? Because they're looking for specific stuff. And
right.
Just as a note, as a marketing thing, so standards are looked at as, oh, you have the NIJ standard. Standards, and I'm an ex-firefighter too, an ex-military. So when you think of a standard, the standard is the minimum. It's the place where you start, and you should be trying to achieve higher than that. And yeah, it took us 98 plates, but we also beat the FPS requirement for Rifle 3 by 30%. So Rifle 3 is 2884. And
so I think it's 2950, isn't it? You're probably right, actually.
I think it's 2880.
Yeah.
And we beat it by 30%. So the round was going well over 3,000 feet per second. I think it was closer to 3,500, 3,700 before we had a failure. So we've taken that, like, we're standing on top of the standard, and we're trying to make it better.
So the number you said, which I can't remember, I apologize, but so that was like feet per second on a projectile hitting the plate.
Yeah. So hold on, I got it on a tab here.
Yeah, because you threw something out, and I was just like, "Whoa, I'm lost." Ask Eric. I get lost.
There's
very
numbers.
easy.
Yeah.
No, numbers I'm good with, but I was like, when I don't understand what those numbers mean.
And now it's two different standards overlaid, right? Because it used to be level 3, level 4, level 3A, level 2. Now it's pistol and rifle are separated, and they have their own gradations. But for the plate that we have, the equivalent in the new standard is Rifle 3. And that's 30-06 MP2 armor piercing, 165.7 grain, plus or minus seven grains. So the grains are within 7 grains on the projectile, and that's going 2,880 feet per second. For Canada, it's 870 meters per second. And we beat that by 30%, which, if I just do a quick calculation on Google Calculator, we went to 3,700. So almost 1,000 feet per second better than what was required before it failed. And that's where those extra plates come in. If you send 5 extra plates and they get back to you and they're like, "Do you want us to continue?" And we're like, "Yeah, keep shooting." And we got that fantastic result. So
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I've got another question in the live chat here from Yep, That's Me, just asking, as civilians, can we purchase level 4 here in Canada?
Yep. The restrictions are your provincial based restrictions. If you need body armor is body armor. It doesn't matter what level it is. So if you can't buy it, or you need special like a license to buy it, or a security guard reason to buy it, then you can buy whatever you want. So we've sold level 4. We've sold quite a few level 4 to civilian consumers.
Awesome. So it's just a matter of possession. It doesn't matter what body armor it is. Just the rules are, in order to possess it.
Yep.
That's what the provincial rule kind of set is. And then after that, level 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever, doesn't matter what the certification of the plate is. Just the actual possession of the armor itself is what you got to watch per province, if I'm picking it up right.
Yep, exactly that. It's yes or no.
Awesome.
It's not about what kind.
It's kind of nice. We found an area where there's no gray area.
Yeah. Well, and
It's like,
people
Really,
making
right?
legislation that have no idea what they're doing. Oh, yeah, there it is again.
Right?
Now we've mentioned the website and ability to purchase a couple times, but we haven't actually talked about what the website is. So where can folks go to check out your online shop?
Aratechresearch.com.
Awesome.
Or type in ARATECH and you'll end up at our website. It's a pretty unique name.
Awesome. I got her in the live chat there, just for anybody that's curious and is looking for, say, level 4 or whatever.
Yep.
Now you got a link in the chat.
Sweet.
As far as emergency preparedness goes, where do you guys kind of see your product line fitting in with people that are in the kind of the prepper mindset, I guess is the best way to put it?
hold on. Before you answer that,
Yeah.
can we break down the different? Can you guys break down the different levels? So you got level 1, 2, 3, 4, 3+, this, that. A lot of people get lost in the weeds where they're just like, let's buy the goodest of the goodest, and then I'm good.
How about we
Right?
start at the most popular then, which is basically what the officers are going to wear, which is 2A, right? That armor is going to basically stop. Here's the weird thing: most police forces will use an armor that's selected to defeat the round that they are currently carrying. So if you're carrying a 40,
Stop a 9mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So although it'll do slightly better than that, right? That's what they buy that for. They generally have a trauma insert that goes in there to add a little bit of extra to it, right? But it's usually just down the center here, right? Like a 5x8, 5x6, something like that.
It's actually pretty cool.
The level 2A is kind of the everyman's armor, right? And then you're going to go into level 3A, which is typical, and that's your 44 mag stuff. Now you can have that in traditional soft armor, which is totally pliable, right? Just thicker, right? And then you can have it in the semi-rigid like we have, which ends up only yay thick, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas level 3 can be thicker than that by twice, right? So once you get going on the level 3 side, where it might fit more into the prepper side is that bag that's sitting in the back of your car, right? That needs that, say, that backpack armor, adds to the gray man side, right? Where it's just sitting there doing nothing, waiting for that moment where it may be needed. And as you're running away from a situation that you had to grab your go bag from your car, right? You take around in the back, well, that's going to stop everything up to a 44 Magnum. And if somebody can take an aim round with a 44 Magnum or an aim shot with a 44 Magnum, good on them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where, again, you have to be a prophet. You have to look into your own future and decide what kind of trouble you're going to get into, right? I'm rural. I don't have level 4 plates hanging around my house. Now, obviously I do because I make them and I have them for marketing reasons, but I wouldn't. Level 3 would be about where I'd top out, and all my bags have level 3 soft, like semi-rigid in them, right? Again, if you can't be armed, be armored. So I have at least something that'll stop up to 44 mag in my back. And of course, my laptop's in there, and I've got various tertiary other junk in there that's going to help a lot, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's Sean brings up a good point, just in regards to just having the stuff in a bag ready to go. I think a lot in the preparedness world think that this is something you're going to buy and you're going to be wearing it all the time. As soon as you leave the house, you go grocery shopping, you go to the mall, you go wherever. You kind of get that vision of well, you can, but you kind of envision, like you guys have touched on, the law enforcement officers always wearing that vest while they're out on patrol. People think about that as well in the preparedness world of, I'm just going to be wearing this all the time, but that option of just having it in the bag ready for deployment if something happens is almost, I would say, the better way to go, because like you said, it's the gray man kind of setup. Nobody knows you have it, and you can use it to get out of Dodge real quick if you need. But again, you got to practice getting it out and getting it on and getting going quick, right? It's not just throw it in your bag and everything's good. But a good point to mention.
I have one more thing to add there. So not only can that be a cool situation, but everybody's going to try and bug out, and they're going to drive away somewhere eventually.
Yep.
Right. We also make body panels.
Body what, sir?
Body inserts and panels for your vehicle. So
Insert.
how about if I made a panel that fit the back of your seat?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Right. So as you're driving, you're protected.
Yeah.
Right. You take it from the rear. Right. Well, you know, all that area is now protected from that quick shot.
Yeah,
so
and
little bits and pieces like that can be made by us as well. And that's something we've done on the small for now, but we're getting there.
Yeah, you know,
I just want to be warlord of my block. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be warlord of my block.
Are you bugging in or are you bugging out?
That's not one.
Bro, I've met my fucking neighbors. I'm going to be warlord of the block. All right.
So just put the panels in the walls of your house. It's now your installation.
Yeah.
Aramid is actually really insulative. It is a great blanket, but
you'd be surprised what you could do for barriers on that. Probably not tested or whatever.
Yeah.
But I am curious about yep, that's me. Did ask, does the cold affect stopping power and certification on plates?
Nope, not at all. So So this leads us back to one of the things that we tried to address with the company, which was, there are several people in Canada, even in the United States, that go, hey, we shot this with this thing at this speed and it didn't go through. That's great. But the thing is, before Oregon Labs shoots our plates, they put them in a washing machine for 2 weeks, and then they freeze them.
Oh.
And then they put them in a humid room. So their protocol is designed to simulate 5 years of being next to an icky human body. And they do that within 2 weeks to 2 to 3 weeks. So it's fine if your plate that you made from China survived the round, but did it go through everything else and then survive the round? Because that survivability, it's in lockstep with the ability of the plate to survive being around human beings. We're sweaty, we're clumsy, we drop things, we bang into stuff, we leave stuff in the sun, we leave stuff in the car when it's minus 30. It's the survival of the human factor that's a big part of that. And the NIJ standard takes that into account in the testing phase of it. So they're really hard on plates. I mean, really hard. And I'm not joking when I say they put them in a washing machine. They put them in an industrial washing machine. They're underwater, they're tossed around. Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal. So
do they do that with the soft armor as well, or is it just the ceramic plates?
Yep. Because the viability of the aramid really comes down to how well it's protected from its environment. So the seal that we put on the soft plates, which is ultrasonically sealed around the edges, that stops the sweat and the water and everything else. Water and sunlight can damage aramid if you leave aramid out in the sun in a humid environment, it loses 10% of its tensile strength every 30 days or something like that. It's really damaging to it. So you have to be very careful with protecting it from us. And any plate that says it's been shot is great, but if it didn't go through the testing protocol and then get shot, it's garbage. They're lying to you, or they're not telling you the whole truth. It's almost pointless to do that, because I've seen some soft armor where it's like you just bite it, you can chew through the plastic wrapper. It's not going to survive 6 months in a plate carrier. There's no way, right? So you have to have the whole picture that goes along with that. And that's what NIJ certification did for the federal government of the United States. It leveled the playing field and said, we're going to treat all this stuff the same way and then have it achieve this goal, and then we'll certify it.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned plate carriers. That kind of puts me into another question of, okay, so we've talked about soft armor, we've talked about ceramic panels, but we obviously need a way to carry that around as well. So what are the options? And I can see Sean's got one up there. But what kind of options do we have for actually wearing this stuff or putting it on if we need it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, outside of putting it in your backpack, so you've got it on pretty much all the time, it becomes a plate carrier, right? So front and back plates. And then do you have side plates on that one, Sean?
On this one, no. This is, though, a rugged rig.
Yeah. So that's the rugged textile plate carrier that we have. And it's literally a way to have it. And originally with body armor, if you remember, what was his name? Dan? Aratech. Can't remember his name.
Do you guys plate carriers that your plates fit in as well?
Yeah, we have a sister company called Rugged Textiles. I'm sorry, I keep thinking we talked about this, but it was pre-show, so the audience didn't hear that part.
I didn't either.
Yeah, Aratech Research is in Trenton, Ontario, Canada, and in that same warehouse, we have a sister company called Rugged Textiles that makes the plate carriers. If somebody wants to buy plate carriers from us, obviously they fit very well. And we also make pouches for a few other people. S&G Hardware, they're shotgun pouches, and Sean actually showed a little while ago the shotgun carrier. We make those.
I can do that again.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So
There you go.
that is where we get our custom. Now, all the plates are made to a specific standard, so they'll fit depending. If you know what the standard is and you know which plate carrier to buy, you can buy it from anybody and it will fit. The sizes are very, we're within millimeter of the design, the accepted design. It's like an AR, man. All ARs are the same, but somehow they're different. Right. And in the same building, we have some Cerakote, a Cerakote company, and also a 3D printing company in that same space. So we got together as a bunch of different companies and decided, in addition to some of us owning parts of the other companies, we got together and try. It's kind of like a hippie community thing where we all got together to save money on rent and build these companies together. So yeah, we do make those, and we use cutting edge materials, like Hypalon, which is, what does everybody call that? Hank. There's like 7 different names for it, but it's basically aramid with rubber on it. And you've seen Blue Force gear stuff. Blue Force was huge with that rubberized material that comes out. So
Yeah.
Question. So you guys did specific testing. I don't remember all the letters and whatever you guys said. Is there different standards of testing? Which one is one that we should look into? Obviously, we want to support Canadian and everything. Can you break down the testing parameters and different testings under whatever body armor qualifications you need to have?
So NIJ is the global standard, and they're based out of Washington, D.C., and they use, I think there's 5 companies globally. The one we go to is Oregon Labs. It's been around for 60 years. And that's, if you want to pass NIJ, they handle all of the physical testing and abuse that happens to those plates. And then they take their results, they're submitted back to NIJ. NIJ basically just says, okay, well, you passed. That's great. Here's our certification. And then the Holy Grail is ending up on the NIJ website. So you can go to the NIJ website and you will see R1 level 4 plate certified, and we're listed on the website. In a stroke of irony, we had our NIJ for 6 months before we were on the website. But if you're not on the website, nobody cares because they can't verify it. And you can't call them.
The dilemma of government. Yes.
Moving at the speed of government, right? So that's the same standard for everybody. Interestingly, there's been a surge on this because I think it was just before COVID, Sean, NIJ revoked hundreds of certifications for Chinese, Russian, and Venezuelan body armor manufacturers.
Actually, wasn't it under Trump
Yeah.
in 2016? I think he removed all Chinese certifications whatsoever.
Basically said they're invalid. We don't trust you to continue. And again, like, the certification is the certification. There is random testing. NIJ does request you to send plates to have them randomly tested. But for the most part, you're agreeing that we have the NIJ certification. We're going to make that plate the same way all the time. If our ceramic supplier goes out of business, we need to find a new one and we need to recertify. We have to send in plates again until they pass. If the glue changes on what we put on the front of the plate, if the glue that's on this changes from type C to type D, we have to recertify. You have to go through the whole thing all over again.
So they yanked a bunch of companies that may have said that maybe they won't do it and hope for the best that they don't get recertified.
Yeah.
Or
so what you
asked
have
to get recertified.
Yeah. You had Chinese companies sending in enough plates to get the certification, and then they made them out of whatever they wanted.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to find that a lot of places. I mean, obviously, I strongly don't think at all, or you guys aren't, but, you know, there are shady things. Like, you probably won't find your plates on your website. I didn't click the website. So what do level 4 plates go for in Canadian dollars?
What's our retail on them, Sean, right now?
On
I
the
know we had them
Aratech?
on sale for a while. They were super cheap.
Yeah, on the Aratech side right now we're 1,200. I think S&J is selling them for $10.99.
Right. So, like, we're not going to find your plates for $200 on Amazon.
You better not.
Right? Well, I mean, if they are, someone
boy.
is deciding to part with a shitload of money by
If
buying
you
stock
do-
from you and selling them, right?
If you do, let me know, because the lawyers are coming off the leash.
Right. And that's the thing, right? So it's just like, oh, people will be like, oh, well, they've got this ticket, so, you know, you do need to be very mindful, reputable place to purchase anything, because there's so many things out there that look fantastic and have the fake paperwork to go with it.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you want to save $200 or $1,000 in this case, you know, and then someone take a BB gun and you get a punctured lung due to it, like, whose fault is it, right? Like, it's not the company's, right? It's a thing to be careful of.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, particularly if you see them in person, if you walk into a outdoor store or someplace like that and you see it on the shelf and it says $2.99 and it says level 4, do me a favor, pick it up and look for that serial number and then give me a call, because I'll tell you whether that serial number is any of the series that we released. Every plate has its own number. They're all individually serialized. So I can tell you in 5 minutes if it's
Good.
the real thing or not.
Right. It's like, so you guys have two different planes, not the same number. So,
Yeah. So
yeah,
doesn't stop the fraud if you buy it off Amazon, but
no.
buyer beware. And again, this goes back to the education series that we're doing, and we're going to continue to do on the website, right? So we want you to be educated. We want you to understand what's going on. And I think we're pretty upfront about the whole, we don't want Chinese rebranded crap on the website. It's part of the reason we started the company. So, I mean, we were buying our body armor, and S&J was buying body armor from a company that's now defunct. They have disappeared. I won't say what their name is, but when your Shopify site and your Facebook page and your Amazon page and your Instagram page and your LinkedIn page all disappear within 60 seconds of each other, you can bet that some federal government somewhere decided that you were not going to continue operating because of your shenanigans. And that's exactly what happened. That's
a clue.
Yeah. So it's a dead giveaway, right? It's really hard to do that.
Nope.
Call Elon and you're unexed. Yeah. So that we knew that they were doing that prior to their demise. And that's the reason that the two founders of the company decided to get into it and start and buy an existing armor company and start doing it, because we simply didn't trust what was floating around over here. So
interesting. Gary in the live chat's got a question, just going back to the serial numbers for a second. Just says he assumes that the serial numbers are part of the certification, or is that just something you guys do for business practice, or kind of both?
It's required. Every plate has to have a pedigree, and it has to be traceable back to where it was manufactured, when it was. And by the way, body armor officially expires after 5 years. So when people are like, how much do you have in your shelf? We have very little on our shelf. We're very much just-in-time manufacturing, because if we have 100 units and they sit on a shelf for a year, and now their shelf life is 4 years. So, yeah, everything has to be tracked, and those numbers are on record. And if NIJ walks in and says, hand them over, we hand them over.
So I need to go down this rabbit hole. You said, and I understand if you don't want to answer these questions, or this particular one.
Yeah.
You say it's certified for a certain amount of years.
Yeah.
I understand, just like medication has an expiration date because it gets below the 100% threshold.
Best before.
Right.
Yeah.
Best before, right? If, like I said, if you don't want to answer, I 100% understand for legalities and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What's the experience, or at least if you have any experience or research of saying like, hey, it's technically expired, but the funds aren't there for now. Is it still better than nothing? Not so much that you're going to guarantee that a level 4 is a level 4, but obviously it's better than nothing.
So this goes back to certification. The certification is mimicking the punishment it goes through in the certification testing process mimics 5 years of being next to a human being. If you take this and buy it and stick it in your closet in a plate carrier and never take it out into the sunlight, yes, the certification is done after 5 years. And as a law enforcement or military agency, for a whole number of reasons that I won't get into, but probably comes down to money and getting sued, you will have to replace those. I, however, would not hesitate to throw that on and take a round in the chest. It would take a long time for an aramid, for one of our products to break down when it's not being used.
So that 5-year warranty is more
it's directly linked to the certification. We can say that thing will meet the NIJ standard for 5 years because that's what it was tested to. It's no different than the rating. We know it will stop this because that's what it was tested to. But once that time limit is up, it may very well be viable for 10 or 20 years. I've shot 25-year-old body armor, Palks, and I had a PACA that was 2000, right? And we shot it and it stopped bullets fine, but it also sat in a closet for most of its life.
Right. Like control regulated, not much humidity, not in the sun and all. Okay. So all in all, expiration date, you're on your own, but I just wanted to see what your opinion was on what that meant.
Good to know.
I wouldn't putting it out in the wind somewhere. You're fine, right? Take care of it. It'll last you probably a lifetime, to be honest with But if you're law enforcement, then there's a whole list of reasons why you would want to change that out. Primarily because military and law enforcement are probably wearing it and putting it through its paces, right? So at the end of those 5 years, you're going to want to take a good look at it and see if it's viable, and if it even looks like it's not even remotely viable. And and by the way, if you get to 3 years and you took a dive off a boat 3 times in a row on a mission, you're probably going to toss it because you don't really know if it's okay. And it's fairly expensive, particularly with level 4, to bring them back and x-ray them, because we can't x-ray them and see if the ceramic's cracked or if there's any other problems with them. But that's kind of prohibitive, right, in terms of cost. So yeah, as long as you take care of it, they should, for the civilian perspective and a prepper, absolutely, you can hang on to them for a while. And I'm not afraid to sit there and say, hey, you're not going to buy another set, so every 5 years you have to do it. I wouldn't worry about it as a civilian.
But you're saying it's expensive to x-ray them. Like, you guys are in Ontario. Doesn't OHIP cover that?
No, we tried. We drew a little face. We drew a little face on him when we said, oh, he broke his arm. And they wouldn't touch it.
Didn't work.
Yeah. No, okay. I mean, at least you tried. I'll give you that.
Dang it.
Got to get my tax dollars back somehow.
Right?
So here's another question for you, just in regards to the soft armor versus the ceramic plates. Do they have to go together? Can they be worn separately? How does that kind of work?
We do not do in conjunction plates. Our point of view is the in conjunction plate means somebody has to remember to have this and that at the time of confrontation. It doesn't work. It is possible to get them, but our level 4 plate is a standalone plate. Our level 3 plate, our rifle plates, the pistol plates, they're all standalone plates. You do not need to wear anything else behind it. When you're talking about soft or semi-rigid armor, if you look at this, which is 3A, if I shoot you from 5 or 6 feet with the maximum of that, we are under our deformation. So the acceptable deformation on the back of a level 4 plate is 40 millimeters, which is 4 centimeters. That's a lot. If somebody takes their finger and pokes 40 millimeters into your chest, it's going to leave a bruise, probably break a rib, right?
Yeah.
But we're under that. We're at 30 millimeters. And that's not a point. It's actually a parabolic curve, right? So you're not getting very much penetration. With something that's soft, it still has 30 millimeters of back face deformation, but it's really close to your skin. So would you want to put something else behind it? You could put what's called a trauma plate behind it, which Sean had talked about earlier. It's actually probably about that goes behind it. And then if you get hit right in the sternum, it doesn't quite poke a hole in your sternum. It doesn't hit you right there. But at the end of the day, you're not just wearing that. You're wearing that in all likelihood in a law enforcement or even in a prepper. I mean, my plate carrier has got a bunch of crap on it. I got mag pouches. I've got my radio kit. I've got a whole bunch of other stuff on there that has to go through. And that does help with back face deformation as well. But that's unpredictable. And it's as unpredictable as in conjunction. I don't know if you're wearing your trauma plate or not. So, but to stop the bullet and meet the standard, you do not need to wear multiple plates.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So Scott in the live chat's got a question just in regards to Chinese HDPE armor. And can we talk about that for a second? And
that is a loaded question.
Yeah.
Let's start with UHMWPE or polyethylene, which is basically a plastic. So you get these really super light plates that are often an in conjunction plate. So you must wear them with other armor. They can be used with inserts like ceramic and still be a level 4, but there's a lot of time and effort in that. That's not Chinese side. That's usually a Dyneema type of material, which is similar, but the Chinese, of course, have made it fast and cheap. So, is it something that is lesser? Not in the long run, but it does have what I like to call an in-progress deformation. So although the acceptable back face deformation may be 40 millimeters, right? Or maybe 2 inches or so, call it, right? You may have an in-progress deformation that's probably the length of my finger, right? And then it returns here because plastic stretches and then it goes back into where it is, right? So your return, if you're an officer, you need to look at this as that's 2-3 inches worth of penetration. That's going to stop your heart if you get hit next to your heart, right? It's going to break your blood vessels. It's going to collapse lungs. It's going to flail your chest, right? That's in a prepping situation. That's a complete, you're done. You're not doing anything, right? And your family's either hunkering down with you, right? There's nobody coming to fix that for you.
Yeah.
In an officer side of things, you're looking at a return to work. You can't return to work anytime soon, right? I look at it as a two-part process, right? You've got the physical recovery and you've got the mental health recovery. You just got shot. You've got to get over that.
Shot a lot. Yeah.
Right. So first you got to get over the physical, because I'll guarantee you that every single day you wake up, you're going to relive the incident because of that pain, right? Now you get into the actual incident recovery after the pain is gone, and then you're going to start having the nightmares and the sweats if you're not already having them. So by lessening your back face deformation, you definitely help bring an officer or a prepper or anybody that's wearing armor back to recovery a hell of a lot faster than you would with something that has more trauma built into it.
Yeah.
Again, it's generally used as something that's done as an in conjunction plate. But when you use our armor, again, you've got an area probably like this. I've got some pictures here somewhere. I should show them to you. And if you can display them, I'll send them to you. It'll be about this wide sort of thing, and then it'll bleed a little bit more like this, but the penetration's no more than that, right? If that, right? And then again, the multi-hit plate, so the level 4s are going to take more hits to all that ceramic. So now
to give people an analogy for it, picture somebody jumping on a trampoline, right? They jump up or they land on a trampoline.
Yep.
That first strike goes way down, and then it comes back up, and they come back up, and they end up at this kind of happy medium. The deflection of that trampoline when they're done is like this. But when they originally dropped on it, it went way down here. That's what HDPE is. It can stop the bullet, but it does a lot of back face deformation and then reforms. And that's, like he was saying, that's why it's typically in conjunction. You typically have something much stronger behind it. But people seem to think because it stops the bullet, it's viable. And it is. It stops the bullet. But again, we're going back to survivability and staying in the fight, not necessarily whether it stops the bullet. Right.
Right, kind of like a temporary wound cavity versus the permanent wound cavity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of difference there, but it's the exact same analogy, right? It's just there's a huge difference between that initial cavity and what it goes down to, and that's where your trauma comes from. It's that shockwave that goes
right. Just
so
because
it's light.
Yeah.
Will it save your life? Right.
Shot.
Hey, look, you'll survive the shot, but not the recovery.
Yeah. Right.
You're not going to have a hole in you.
Yeah. And then if I hear another somebody say, yeah, but these float. Okay. My mags don't float. My radio doesn't float. All the crap I have in my first line, like my gun and all my mags for my Glock, don't float. Does it really matter if my plate floats? No. Even if I just have plates and body armor, I'm a big dude. I'm going to sink like a stone. I don't care if the plate floats.
Not with that attitude.
No, I won't.
I'm
just going to
say you bring up physics.
Well,
yeah.
Go back to
this is not math class. Yep. It's Sunday.
No. Yeah, come on. Yeah.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
The second part to that is the Chinese aspect, right? I don't care if it's from China, India, from anywhere else in the world. If somebody turns around and plays word salad games with somebody, I think they should be going to jail.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? This is protective equipment. And if I should have to have a talk with you about buying personal protective equipment off of Amazon or eBay, then you have yourself a really sore point in the world that you're going to learn from. When it comes down to word salad, you're going to hear things like meet certification, right?
Meets the standard.
Meets a standard, right?
If
it's not certified, well, no, we met the certification. And indeed, you can send one plate off to OBL, Oregon Ballistic Labs. They'll test it with that one shot, but it didn't go through the testing criteria.
Nope.
It didn't go through anything. It went through that one single shot and passed that shot, and that's it. So it was the optimum, right, conditions that shot could have been stopped at. Right. Is it something that will work? It might. It may not work, right? I mean, you can only make a cheese sandwich the same way, so many ways, right? Yeah. But yeah, I don't like the word salad. So when I was at OPEX, not last year, but the year before, I walked around. I think I saw 4 people selling different armor. Now, I don't knock them for trying to make a living, and I get it, but they are putting people at risk, right? And I get it, but at the bottom line is, I don't care where you get that armor from, but if you do not have it certified, right? If you're let's just talk policing and military. If it's not, well, not military, policing. If it's not certified, then it can't be insured.
Yeah.
Right? So if for some reason Chinese got involved in the making of that armor, they can't be certified under NIJ in any way, shape, or form. So whether it's a Chinese company or one company with one layer of Kevlar that was made in China, right, or anything like that, it just can't be certified.
Yeah.
Right. That's the biggest passion I've got with all of this. The amount of time it took us to go through this process to get this certified, to be able to sit here and say, what the hell, to those people out there that would sell that type of armor to a fellow Canadian or an American, because you guys have had your own fair share of botch ups.
Counterfeit bullshit.
Yeah. The rebranding of armor. I buy it from China, I bring it here, and then I put my logo on it.
Don't get me started in Made in Canada rules.
Right. So, and then they use the NIJ logo, right? In the US, you'd actually get jail time for that. Right? In Canada, though, you don't.
No.
Right? Sorry, my rant's over.
Nah.
No, I completely understand.
Yep. No, it's good to get a little bit out of it. What are your recommendations on if someone doesn't already have body armor but has something that they could put body armor in for a prepper scenario? Maybe go through this one if you live in this type of area, obviously not as a personal protection person that has done an assessment on my house and the liability of everything, but just ballpark, you live here, this may be better, you live here, this may be better, at least from your personal experience.
More a matter of kind of, it's not where you live, I think, as much as it is situation. If you start off your prepping journey because you have to, it's usually because the power went out across the Eastern Seaboard, like we did in 2003, was it? I can't remember.
Yeah, something like that.
Right. The power just goes, boop, no more. Right. And then there's 3 days to anarchy, right? So where did you start that off? I was on the Gardner in Toronto, right? Coming home to Mississauga at the time. Could I have used something? Well, I was already wearing something at that point, but it was a different story. But I would like something in the line of, you don't know what your weapon's going to be. And in Canada, I would think that things like bats, knives, screwdrivers, right? Last minute things I can pick up that I know I can use as a weapon that are sturdy enough that I can do it multiple times. So if the world just shut off, and those are the things you're looking for, then I want something that's stab resistant, slash resistant, right? And will stop bullets in some form or another resistance. Hence why I really do dig our level 3 armor. The semi-rigid armor kind of maxes out everything. It's super light. We do have, through Rugged Textiles, a concealable vest carrier, right? Put it in your backpack, put it on in your kid's backpack, wherever you want to put it. I think that's a great one. So if all of a sudden, pick a scenario, EMP goes off, right? Everything shuts off, right? You're stuck. Your car's, I'm now on the Gardner, stuck on the Gardner. How do I get home? Well, I gotta walk through people that are now freaked out, pissed off, and panicked, right? Whether they've gotten to panic yet or not, I don't know, but panic's going to set in when they all figure out that all their cars are done. right? So we're going to move on to the next thing, which is what am I protected against, right? And if I'm the guy that's carrying, now in Canada, obviously we can't carry the gun on the sidewalk or in plain daylight, that sort of thing. But
Allegedly.
if that's our token American, you know, if he's the gentleman that of the family is the one carrying that gun, I'd probably be the one wearing that armor, right? Because if you go down, everybody else behind you ain't going to survive, right? Because you're already in the shit if somebody's shooting at you, right? So
And if you go down, there's another weapon available to bad guy too, right?
right. So I think the level 3 is the way to go for the everyday gray man, crap hit the world, traveling kind of setup. And it kind of hits all of the marks along the way of everything. I think the level 4 has a big place in that. And that's more though in place bunkering, if you will. You're setting yourself up to sit down and entrench yourself in your home, your business, wherever you may be. That may be the armor that you're wearing all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree to a certain extent, a little bit. I mean, and I back that up 100%. In Canada, level 3, 99% of your threat in Canada is going to be 9mm, right? The occasional hunting rifle, but in that kind of situation, the hunting rifles are back on the farm and they're bugged in. So in an urban environment, you're probably not going to run into 308, 30-06 or anything like that. It's going to be anybody who's downtown that's got a gun that's is probably 9mm. The gangbangers, the stuff that's coming in over the border that's used illegally, 90% of those are 9mm or 38. So yeah, that works great. In the States, where AR-15s are prevalent, we're talking about a lot of rifle level FPS. I would probably go with level 4, even though they're heavier, right? But again, it takes your scenario into account. I'm 54. If I got to go somewhere, I'm probably driving. So 14 pounds of plate doesn't really make any difference for me. But, mobility is always a factor. And where do you get caught? And do you want to have that in your car all the time, sitting there, not used, train with it occasionally, stuff like that? In terms of the rifle threat, I think I'd probably go with level 4 in the United States and level 3 in Canada. But again, it's mitigated by how far I'm going to have to walk, quite frankly. Yep. And if I'm looking at more than 10 or 15 kilometers, I'm going to ratchet that. Even in the States, I go back to level 3, have it in a backpack or something where I don't have to. And I, like as Sean mentioned, I can still be gray, where I'm not walking around with body armor and stuff that be like, oh, that guy switched on. Maybe we should just take all his crap because he's got stuff all over him, right? I'm just a dude walking with a backpack on, and if I see something weird, I just shift it around and put the backpack in front of me. That's probably how I'd approach it. And the other side of it too is 3's substantially more affordable than 4. So if you're looking at, and as Pierre had mentioned a couple of times, this is a money factor. There's a lot of I got to think about food. I got to think about a lot of stuff at my house. I have to think about the backpack. Like Vertex bags are fantastic, but they're not super affordable. There's a lot of other things that are in that line for funding that I have to think about. So it's also more affordable. So I think from a prepper community, especially if you don't have a lot of money, the 3 would probably be the way to go. Gives you the best coverage, gives you all the anti-stab that you were talking about earlier. It's easy to conceal. We're coming out with a line of backpack armor. We call it Tombstone because it's 11 by 15, but the top is not shooter's cut. It's kind of it's actually shaped a lot like my head. It looks more like a tombstone, so you're not left with gaps at the top of like a backpack. It can get the armor up higher because you're already behind the 8-ball if you're trying to wear a backpack as body armor. You have to somehow try and keep it up high enough. And we won't talk about watching TV and seeing plate carriers down here somewhere. They need to be way up here for a bunch of breathing and circulation reasons. But we're coming out with something that's dedicated to that. We're even going to have the ability to add sections onto the bottom. So if you have a longer backpack, you can still provide coverage all the way down. So that's probably how I'd rock that scenario in terms of what I would carry.
Just looking at the website, you guys got the backpack inserts and level 4. Or even if you guys can say ETA for level 3 plates coming out?
The level 3 plates. So the biggest problem right now is the NIJ certification is changing from 01016 to 01017. So this is where all the new terminology comes into. So it's not level 4, it's going to be rifle 3. Every company in the planet is trying to get recertified. So even if we submitted plates right now, you're looking at probably 18 months to 2 years before they even get to the point where they're going to be tested at Oregon labs, and then another probably year before that report gets signed off for NIJ and is listed on the website, which is, as we just discussed, is the most important thing when it comes to selling body armor. We do have plans for level 3 for sure. It's probably going to be a hybrid of our 4. It would be much easier for us to remove technology from level 4 and then resubmit that rather than try and build a whole new process. So what you would probably be looking at is a much lighter plate that's level 3 that actually has a ceramic core coming from us. But in terms of timeline, it's going to be a couple of years yet, just because of the bureaucratic nature of getting the certification. We got to start doing that tear down.
So the level 3A, like the soft armor plate and the level 3A inserts that are on your site right now, those are like Kevlar based versus the ceramic. Is that correct?
They're Kevlar. They do not have a ceramic core because the backface deformation for the smaller rounds, you don't require to have that stopping power, right? 9 mil is going much slower than 30-06, especially at 167 grains. So they're manufactured with the same spec, and those plates will be going for NIJ certification probably before anything else, because we already make them. We make them really well, and it would be nice to have those because law enforcement focuses a lot on the soft armor, on the semi-rigid and soft armor. So you'll see those before we get anything else done. But we're probably going to do the soft armor and the 3A, the cord 3 at the same time. We'll probably be putting those in at the same time for certification.
Sure.
Awesome. Cool. Any other questions from the panel or the live chat?
Well, I think Pierre did a really good job on asking a lot of good questions because he covered exactly what I was wanting to cover on it. So yeah, you had a lot of good questions there, Pierre.
Whiskey is the best thing.
Unfortunately, I'm on a dry week right now, believe it or not.
My condolences.
Yeah, it's one of those
Terrible.
things. It's because I have interest in a whiskey company in Texas. We have a dry week, and we call it a palate reset. So you can take a break, and then you can appreciate the whiskey better after 7 days of not drinking it.
That sounds horrible.
Sounds horrible. Oh yes, I did have one question though. So as far as getting it into America and stuff like that, do you sell privately to America? If somebody was to, like me, order, you just call you straight up and send it straight on down?
There's no inbound ITAR restriction. There's nothing preventing us from selling into the States other than the
Tariffs.
Other than tariffs and price. So getting stuff out of the States, obviously.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Hey, as a Canadian armor company, I have no problem with ITARs because it stops your plates from being economical up here. It's fine. I have no problem with it. Thank you very much. But no, if you want to buy plates, we can't sell them right now on the website because we haven't figured out. So they're heavy, number one. So we've got basically flat rate shipping across Canada right now. We'd have to figure out shipping. So, but anybody from the States, they could very happily just send us an email and we can go, hey, it's going to cost this much to ship it to your house. Here's the link to go pay with a credit card. Have a nice day.
Nice.
All right. Awesome.
Cool. Any last minute thoughts from you gentlemen before we kind of wrap things up?
I just want to say thank you for taking the time to come join us and talk jibber jabber about your weekly business on top of, hey, let's take up an hour and a half of your Sunday off time to discuss this. Happy to see it Canadian. Thank you for bringing it back Canadian and, get some info out there for people. So it's great to see you, and thank you guys.
Appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. I listened to the show, so this is not new for me.
Thank you.
And I do apologize for eating oysters before the last show.
Yeah, I was hiding it with just technical difficulties. I didn't say anything else about it.
Technically, it's technical difficulties.
We knew.
Yeah.
We knew, but we did not let anyone else know.
Yeah, technically you were having difficulties.
Very, very horrible ones I won't relate here.
Yeah.
I do appreciate you guys coming out and debunking some myths and helping educate the listeners about body armor, because it is an important topic and something that we should talk about in the preparedness world, and it is one that's popular amongst people with a preparedness mindset. But it's a topic that just gets all kinds of different ins and outs and incorrect information kind of shared about. So it's been good to have you guys come out and just debunk and set some of the things in place that are actually proper. So
No problem.
Also,
Thanks for letting us come out and do that.
quick question.
no problem.
Do these plates survive if ever the CO2 detector goes off? Does that affect anything?
Missing something there.
120.55.
We'll fill you in after. We'll
We'll let you know once we wrap the show up. So just some quick upcoming events. Terry is obviously not here this evening, so I'll touch on it for him. The annual Preppers Meet, or as he's referring to it now, the Preppers Week, is coming up July 7th to the 13th, being held at the Slovenian Hunters and Anglers Club in Alliston, Ontario. As always, fantastic meet. Great presenters, great time. It's to the point now that they've extended it out for a full week versus the 4 days they used to do. Also, early bird tickets have come up for sale now. So check out annualpreppersmeet.com. Grab your early bird tickets while they are discounted price, because they won't be discounted forever. So fantastic event, lots of fun, and some of the panelists will be out there as well. So take some time to head over there and check it out. With that, I'll bring episode number 262 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or really your favorite podcast app. We're on all of them by now. Please do submit a review. It does encourage the algorithms to kind of share us until they realize we're talking preparedness, and it shoves us back down to the bottom. But, at least we get up there for a little bit. And we do record the shows live on YouTube. If you want an early peek at the shows, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tab. That'll give you an alert when we're going live. And Pierre, where can everybody get you?
Off the wall customizing, I think we're on the Tickety Talk, Instagram, Bookface. I don't know what my wife still has up for that. You want some t-shirts and some engraving done of some sort. I'm on the Discord once in a blue moon. I'll say probably something inappropriate. And I am also available, or at least to be seen, on the other CPP on Monday nights on the YouTubes for Canadian Patriot Podcasts, where we get a lot more political and potentially more whiskey.
All right, Pat.
You can find me on YouTube at Pat in the Bunker, same as right there in my on my screen right there. You can find me on Facebook at Pat Hirsch, and if you have any questions for me, my email address is cruisin165@gmail.com.
Awesome. And Brent and Sean, what's the best way to get a hold of you guys if anyone's looking to buy some panels or ask some questions?
Definitely the website. We've got a question form on there. If you have any questions at all, you can send it in. You can always do sales at aratechresearch.com. Same domain name as the website, just put sales at in front of it. And the phone number's on the website as well. So give us a call. We pick up the phone occasionally because we're all really busy, but there is a voice message there, and we do get to people within a day or so.
Awesome. Great. You can check out rapidsurvival.com and get me there on the live chat. You can also email me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. So thanks for joining us. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
and keep learning.
I don't know.